We would like to let you know that this video will discuss some difficult topics including abuse and suicide. If any part of this video is upsetting, please see our counselors for support.
For the first time in history, Canada has declared a day to honor the first peoples who were affected by residential schools. Today, we honor the survivors of the Canadian genocide of Indigenous peoples. We ask that you listen to these truths about our shared history and join us in making a commitment to reconciling these past wrongs. Though none of us are responsible for these abuses, we can all work together to build a better future.
The thing about truth is it can look different depending upon your perspective. Truth. There are 139 residential schools total in Canada. Children were forcibly taken from their homes.
Truth. If parents resisted the abduction of their children, they would go to prison. 1 in 25 children died in residential schools from abuse, disease, and neglect. Very few church members or government officials have been held responsible for these crimes.
Truth. The last residential school in Canada closed in 1996, and it is still standing to this day. Truth. Approximately 8,000 students survived these schools, and 60% are left with post-traumatic stress disorder, and another 25% are left with depression. Truth. The highest rate of suicide in Canada is among Indigenous males aged 15 to 24.
Truth is, Canada has committed a cultural genocide. No, they've committed a genocide against Indigenous people. Canada's leaders have ignored these issues for far too long.
Truth. In the 1960s scoop, non-Indigenous families took Indigenous children from their families and communities, while federal and provincial social workers thought that this was best for them. Truth. Indigenous women were often sterilized at birth to prevent children from being born.
Truth. 74% of all murder victims are women. 62% of all female murder victims are Aboriginal women. Truth. Indigenous people are less than 5% of the population, but protect 80% of global biodiversity. Truth. 1/3 of homeless youth in BC are Aboriginal.
Out of the 200 languages originally on Turtle Island, only 64 remain. Our culture passes down history orally, through language. Without this language, we lose our culture.
Truth. As of today, 73% of native water systems have contaminated water, and 1.5 have no water at all.
Learning the truth, and the truth is, things need to change in this country. That's why our commitment to reconciliation starts here with all of us.
By reflecting on the wrongs of the past and seeking forgiveness for the future.
By continuing to learn and educate about Indigenous rights and the road taken to recognize the loss of sovereignty over traditional territories. We will continue to learn about and support First Nation communities.
By learning the songs and understanding land claims, we will adjust to the discomfort of knowing these truths.
By participating in events and activities for First Nations groups in our area, to offer ceremonies and customs like tobacco offerings, smudges, and healing circles.
My commitment to reconciliation is to speak up for the kids who didn't get a voice and to educate others.
I will reconcile by learning the traditional names of the lands owned by Indigenous peoples. We will treat the land and its inhabitants with the same respect shown by the Indigenous hosts themselves.
By finding opportunities to share Indigenous knowledge and tradition through social gatherings, we will learn Indigenous content in classes along with current traditions.
I have been whitewashed. My family lost their status. To reconcile, I will speak about it every day.
We will reconcile.
If you find these truths to be disturbing or uncomfortable, we invite you to commit to reconciliation with us. We all have a responsibility to make this country a better place for everyone. This is how we will honor the survivors and the children who did not survive. If you need support, see counselors and Indigenous education advocates.